Well, welcome back to my reviews. Today I'm going to look at a Supermarine Spitfire by Dinky Toys. And this model came out tied in with the movie, The Battle of Britain, back in 69, 70. It's kind of a neat little model. The only thing I did to it was I replaced these bottom roundels. Because they had dried out and were flaking away. Everything else is pretty good. A little tail wheel here is missing, but I can order that part. It's got retractable undercarriage. It's also got a motor in there. This screw here, you undo that, you can take the front end here off, and these bottom of the wings, and the engine's up in here, and the battery compartment's back in here. So you have to take this screw out here. And that piece is plastic here. This piece here is plastic. Something Dinky did with the first run of models, but not with the next ones. I don't know why. As you can see, this battery's shorter than a normal 1.5 volt, like a AAA, but it's the length you need to fit in there. These models were pretty neat though. I've got a Stuka, which isn't motorized. I've got the Hurricane, which I don't think was ever motorized, but I know the Stuka was, some of them. The Spitfire was probably the first model to come out. And then there was a Messerschmitt, which I've got. I actually got 2 of them. But I could never keep the motor running in that for some reason. There it goes. Spinning around pretty good. I guess as a kid you could walk around, pretend you were flying in the Battle of Britain. Kind of neat. I don't have the box for this model. I never have for this one. I bought it at a toy show from a table. And to stop the engine, you just touch it with your finger. Restart it. Pretty nice model, that one. And I've got a Messerschmitt here. The BF 109E. It's in the package. It can come out. But, I haven't taken it out too often. You can see the aerial still taped on top of the packaging here inside. It's never been put on the plane. That's another thing they did. They put the tail wheel as part of the casting, the die cast. Unlike the Spitfire, where it was part of that plastic rear end, easily breakable and lost. I believe the Hurricane has the die cast tail wheel too, as part of the fuselage. Here it is out of the package. I like that spotted camo job. You can see the pilot in there. Got no battery in this one. Takes a AAA, so I've got to get some. And it does have a on-off switch. It's on the off position now. Retractable undercarriage. Just like new, this one. It's never had a decal on it, except for these iron crosses, which I never put on. Here's the decal sheet. Put them in this little Ziploc just to keep them from the air. I mean, they've been in the air since the 60s, so, or early 70s. So I'll get a battery for this, and at a future date I will try and get it running and show you. Anyways, these are two of the Dinky airplanes I thought you might be interested in. They're very nice models. I think he did a good job on them. So I'll get the tail wheel for the Spitfire and the battery for this thing and try and get her running. And we'll see you then. See you then. Thank you. It's a Britain's model of the kerosene Predictor with operator. Now, this machine was one of the first fully automated anti-aircraft fire control systems, and it was used to automate the aiming of the British Army's 40mm Bofors guns and provide accurate lead calculations through simple inputs on 3 main hand wheels. Got that? I was just kidding there, but I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible for myself to understand, and maybe you can understand some. Here's the decals they've got on this thing, the dials and things. Which doesn't mean a lot to me. And it's on a fair-sized tripod. Solid. Heavy metal model. Kind of neat. Looks like an old movie camera of some sort, but there's the operator. He's just your regular infantryman. And there's the box. Predictor with operator. Copyright model. W. Britain's trademark. Manufactured in London, England. Anti-aircraft units of the British Army. Model of electrically operated Predictor with operator. This instrument makes all calculations necessary to the anti-aircraft gunners for training guns on enemy aircraft. That's number 1728 in the Britain series. Pretty interesting, though. I looked it up on Wikipedia and Google, and I had to really shorten it down because it had one long explanation. The Predictor proved to be able to hit practically anything that flew in a straight line. It was particularly effective against dive bombers. got to refer to my notes here. The output of the device drove hydraulic servo motors attached to the traversal and elevation gears of the otherwise unmodified Bofors. Allowing it to follow the Predictor's indications automatically without manual intervention. The gunner simply kept the gun loaded, while the three aimers simply had to point the Predictor, mounted on a large tripod, at the target. As radar was developed and improved, it was able to do all these jobs of the Predictor, and the Predictor, as it was known, became obsolete. Now, Vickers made a Predictor, and the U.S. eventually made a Predictor of some sort. Anyways, I think this is a really neat model, and I was lucky to find the box with it at the time. Probably lucky to find a Predictor, because I've never seen one of these at any toy shows or anything. Very cool. Now this model here is the sound locator by Britains, number 1638. It was produced from 1946 to 1951. Most of the work on anti-aircraft sound ranging was done by the British. They developed an extensive network of sound mirrors used from World War I through World War II to find the angle that maximizes the amplitude of sound received. Two sound mirrors at different positions will generate two different bearings, which allows the use of triangulation to determine a sound source position. Yes, very interesting, that one. I know it's an odd looking machine, but the sound's going to enter these deals here, and I've seen old pictures of these guys, and they're usually wearing headphones, so they weren't put on them by Britons. But use your imagination. That's what the kids had to do. It's another heavy piece, you know. Britains Limited, made in England. That's what it says around the base. And then you got the wires acting as the tripod, and they've actually got wire wrapped around this thing to look like electronic wires. So that's sound locating. 1930s to World War II version. Oh, here's another older Britains model. And it's number 1512 in the series, the Britains ambulance. Actually, military ambulance. Produced from 1946 to 1956. And in 1957, they added a piece in the middle here, a bar in the middle of the windshield. And what else did they do? They discontinued these lights on the fenders. They moved the headlights onto the fenders over here. And instead of painting them, they had a sticker that went on there. And there was no doors that opened. And this one, the earlier one, only had just one door that opened. The other door did not. There's the driver. He's sitting on a piece of masking tape. Keeps them in there. They don't stay in very well if you don't. And tires are getting old. Old rubber. Originally this would have come with a driver, stretcher bearer, a stretcher, and a wounded man on the stretcher. And the stretcher would have fit back in there. I don't have any of that stuff. There's the doors shut. Show you some of the undercarriage. Now at the same time as this little set was for sale, there was a big 18-piece set, number 1897, for sale also, from 1948 to 1959, with of course the change in the cab, the same as the other little set. But I think by 1960 they were all gone and done. This cab was also used as a tipper, an army tipper and an army transporter. Kind of a nice truck actually. I guess I'll have to hunt down a wounded man and stretcher and a couple of stretcher bearers. Add them to the set. The truck's got a lot of character though. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little look at some of the older Britain's military stuff. I think it's kind of neat, this stuff, and they were always topical with their products, pretty well up to date, whether it be military or farm. They were, I guess you could say in those days, a cutting edge, but they made some very nice toys over the years. And I hope you enjoyed looking at these ones. We've done some predicting, we've done some sound locating, and we're looking for a patient for this ambulance. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.